كما قلت في بداية هذه الجلسة أنه محاور كثيرة في هذه الجلسة تخدم على التاريخ التقليدي أو التاريخ يعني اللي بالنسبة لنا التاريخ الكلاسيكي. شاهدنا الآثار، شاهدنا الشعر، شاهدنا الهندسة والزخارف. الآن سوف نستمع إلى صوت الفلسفة. دكتورة شيماء نبوي سوف تحدثنا عن بلاتو توزاسكي What went wrong. سوف تطوف بنا في ورقتها بالإنجليزية عن مشروع الفيلسوف أفلاطون الذي فشل في جزيرة صقلية وتحديدا في مدينة سيراكوزا. هنا الفلسفة يعني تدلف إلى باب التاريخ، ونحن نعرف أن الفلسفة هي أم العلوم، وبالتالي هي حاضرة في كل التخصصات التي نقوم بدراستها. دكتورة شيماء نبوي هي باحثة في الآثار والعلوم الكلاسيكية، وتعمل في وزارة السياحة والآثار المصرية. هي أيضا مؤسسة الموسيوم مشروع البروجكت، وأنجزت رسالتها لدكتوراه من قسم الآثار والدراسات الكلاسيكية في جامعة الإسكندرية كلية آداب، واهتمامها ينشغل بالجريك أند رومان ثو أو بالفكر اليوناني والروماني، وركزت رسالتها للدكتوراه على الفريدومز اند هيومن رايتس ان بلاتو's dialogues، عن الحريات وحقوق الإنسان في محادثات الفيلسوف أفلاطون. وبينما كانت رسالتها للماجستير عن the Oriental origin of Greek philosophical thought، عن الأصول الشرقية للفلسفة اليونانية. دكتورة شيماء أيضا شاركت في العديد من المشاريع البحثية والآثارية، كما نشرت العديد من المقالات، أحداها بعنوان The Egyptian Origins of the Concept of Logos in Philo's Writings، عن الأصول المصرية لمفهوم اللوغوس في كتابات أفلاطون. يبدو أنها مهتمة للغاية بأفلاطون. أيضا شاركت في العديد من المؤتمرات أو من الأبحاث، وقدمت في العام 2016 ورقتها المعنونة ب أيضا The Oriental Origins of Plato's Republic، برضو عن الأصول الشرقية في جمهورية أفلاطون. ونشرت ده في السيمبوزيوم كان خاصا بالجريك اند لاتين، بالمنقوشات اليونانية واللاتينية أو بالكتابات اليونانية واللاتينية، في كتاب مهدى إلى المرحوم الكبير أستاذنا الدكتور مصطفى العبادي، وصدر هذا الكتاب عن مكتبة الإسكندرية. الدكتورة شيماء سوف تحدثنا الآن عن مشروع أفلاطون في سيراكوزا الذي فشل، وسوف تحاول أن تبين لنا لماذا فشل مشروع أفلاطون في سيراكوزا. معايا دكتورة شيماء؟
مع حضرتك يا دكتور.
أهلا بك يا دكتور.
اهلا بحضرتك، وشكرا لحضرتك جدا يا بروفيسور على التقديم الجميل ده.
لا دكتوره انت تستاهلي، وبعدين دي البيوجرافي بتاعتك اللي جات لي، وانت يعني تستاهلي كل خير. هو بس خليني اقول لك ملاحظه، انه قدرنا نحن وانت ان ناتي في الجلسه الاخيره.
صحيح.
وقدرك وحدك ان تاتي المتحدثه الاخيره. واخد بالك؟ دكتور الجمل قاعد معانا هنا وفضي، ويعني عايز يقعد لغايه صلاه العشاء، فاحنا معلش يعني هتكلمينا في خلال لا يزيد عن ربع ساعة. معلش عشان بقى نفتح باب المناقشات، عندنا 5 باحثين يعني كمان من دول مختلفة، وننهي هذا العرس العلمي بشكل جميل. اتفضلي دكتورة شيماء.
هستدعيك بس ان هم يبقوا 18 دقيقة. 18 3 دقائق كم زيادة.
15 دقيقة دول عربي ولا انجليزي يعني؟
18 دقيقة.
18؟
معلش 3 دقائق زيادة بس.
طب بسرعة اتفضلي يا فندم، اتفضلي عشان نبدأ باب المناقشات على طول بعد كده.
تمام. اولا انا بشكر مكتبه اسكندريه جدا على اتاحه الفرصه دي، وبشكر اللجنه المنظمه جدا جدا على تعاونهم، وبشكر استاذي بروفيسور مجدي كيلاني على انه مصدر الهام دائم بالنسبه لي. Plato to the rescue. What went wrong? Introduction. Plato's visit to Syracuse are significant events in his life. The first visit of Plato to Syracuse was during the reign of Dionysius I. Plato hoped to educate the ruler on matters of justice, virtue, and good governance. However, Plato faced skepticism from Dionysius I and resistance from his court. Furthermore, Plutarch and Diogenes Laertius mentioned that Plato offended the tyrant who at first ordered to put him to death, and then he changed his mind and ordered to sell him as a slave. After that, Plato's friends ransomed him for 20 minae and sent him away to Athens. Plato's second visit to Syracuse.
دكتورة شيماء، ممكن تفتحي البرزنتيشن بتاعك عندك لأنه مش ظاهر عندنا على الشاشة خالص.
هو مفتوح يا دكتور.
لا هو مش مفتوح، لو بصيتي بس بصي على الواتساب هو ده شكل ظاهر قدامنا عندنا.
اوكي حضرتك تقدر بعد اذنك ممكن تعملوه من عندك؟ طيب
انت بعتها ثانيه واحده.
اوكي
تمام. اوكي
تمام
اتفضلي كملي.
Okay. Plato's second visit to Syracuse was during the reign of Dionysius II. He was invited by Dionysius II, persuaded by Dion, who thought that Plato's guidance in governance and political matters would benefit Dionysius II. In his second and seventh letter, Plato expressed what convinced him to go to Syracuse this time. He said that it was a chance for philosophy to gain favor with the multitude. He thought that he was honoring philosophy by trying to implement its principles, since it was only necessary to win over a single man to accomplish all the good he dreamed of. He was also ashamed of appearing to himself as a pure theorist, unwilling to be responsible of any practical task. He thought that if he neglected this opportunity, he wouldn't only betray Dion, but he would be also betraying philosophy itself. Despite initial receptiveness, Dionysius II disregarded Plato's advice, and the visit ended in failure. Dion was banished, and Plato returned to Athens, disappointed by the outcome. Plato's third visit was an attempt to restore Dion to Syracuse. However, Dionysius II failed to keep his promises to Plato, and the visit ended in failure. Influence and legacy. Plato's visit to Syracuse has a profound impact on his philosophical views. Plato's observation of the flaws and shortcomings of existing government and ruler influenced his later works, notably The Republic, where he outlined his vision of an ideal state governed by a philosopher king, and The Laws, where he proposed a city ruled by the divine laws. This experience also highlighted the challenges of implementing philosophical ideals in the real world, emphasizing the contrast between theory and practical government. Here are some key ways in which Plato's experience in Syracuse impacted his philosophical thinking. 1. Criticizing the tyranny. Plato criticized the role of tyrants who do not grant citizens any civil rights. The society governed by a tyrant is an enslaved society. Its citizens always in a state of poverty and need. It's a fearful society. Plato opposed the idea of tyrant enslaving free people in his dialogue Menexenus. 2. Fast-footing indulgence. Plato encountered in Syracuse, particularly during Dionysius I's reign, had a profound impact on his ideas about the ideal state and the qualities of a good leader. He refined his concept of a philosopher king, emphasizing that authority should be reserved for those who excel within the guardian class and demonstrate wisdom, justice, and moral integrity. Plato's experience highlighted the limitation of relying solely on military prowess as qualification for leadership as seen in the oppressive rule of Dionysius I. Plato's profile of the good leader stands in a stark contrast to the profile of Dionysius II as outlined in Plato's Epistles. Plato criticized Dionysius II for lacking moral virtue, displaying tyrannical tendency, and failing to embody the qualities of a good philosopher king. He was disappointed with Dionysius II's conduct and lack of integrity. 3. City of divine law. Plato shifting focus from the concept of a philosopher king to the city of divine law. We can see it as a significant development influenced by his visits to Syracuse during the reign of Dionysius II, witnessing the failures and complexities of Dionysius II's rule. Plato realized that the limitation of relying solely on a philosopher king to establish an ideal society. This realization influenced his work, The Laws, where he emphasized the importance of creating a system of laws and institutions to guide and regulate society. This focus reflects Plato's ability to adopt and refine his philosophical views based on new experience and insights. Emphasis on rights of the citizens. Plato's experience in Syracuse solidified his ideas about the rights of the governed. In his Republic, he emphasized that those in possession of authority should prioritize the interests and welfare of those they govern rather than their own personal interests. Rulers must dedicate themselves to promoting the well-being of their citizens, ensuring that their actions align with what is beneficial and appropriate for them. Plato also emphasized the importance of honesty and integrity, calling for rulers to speak truthfully and act consistently with their words. 5. Emphasis on the role of education and virtue. In his servant's letter, Plato rejects the Syracusan notion of the happy life, characterized by indulgence and excess. He believes that such a life hinders the development of wisdom, temperance, and other virtuous quality. In Alcibiades I, he emphasizes the need for rulers to be taught temperance and self-control from an early age to cultivate freedom and virtuous quality. In the Republic, Plato argues that true wisdom and virtue are nurtured through education and philosophical training, and he advocates for a comprehensive educational system that develops both intellectual and moral virtue. He asserts that the privilege of governing should be reserved for the philosophers, and they possess the unique qualities and virtues necessary for effective leadership. Plato also highlights the importance of that collective consciousness in condemning customs that contradict virtue and disrupt society, even when explicit laws may be challenging to enforce. 6. The pursuit of justice. Plato's failures in Syracuse prompted him to delve deeper in the concept of justice and its realization in society. He explored various questions, including the relationship between individual virtue and the structure of the state, the fair distribution of power and resources, and the challenges of maintaining justice in face of human imperfections. These explorations are evident in his dialogues, where he grapples with the complexities of justice and its practical application. In the Republic, Plato opposes the relativistic view of justice advocated by the Sophists, who argues that justice is subjective and varies across different societies. Plato asserts that justice is not solely the privilege of the powerful. Instead, he argues that justice is achieved when each social class fulfills its designated roles. 7. The principle of equality. Plato's failure in Syracuse prompted him to explore the concept of equality in his work, particularly in laws. He discussed two types of equality. The first focuses on achieving equality in terms of quantity and size through the efforts of the lawmaker, ensuring their fair distribution and organization. The second type delves into a deeper dimension, intertwining with the divine will represented by Zeus. This form of equality goes beyond material consideration and encompasses virtue and moral excellence. Plato argues that Zeus rewards the virtuous, while those who neglect virtue suffer the consequences. Plato's exploration of these two types of equality provides a comprehensive understanding of justice and fairness. The practical aspect of equality addresses the distribution of resources and opportunities, while the deeper dimension involves personal character and moral agency. Plato believes that the second type of equality should be the foundation of political justice, emphasizing the superiority of divine law over man-made law. However, it's important to note that the absolute equality in all aspects of life may not be feasible or practical, as it disregards individual capabilities and contributions. 8. The Fools. We may say that Plato's allegory of the cave featured in the Republic reflects his experience in Syracuse and his views on the nature of reality. The allegory portrays individuals chained in a cave, perceiving only shadows and illusions created by fire. This symbolizes the limited understanding of reality that most people possess. According to Plato, philosophical enlightenment and the pursuit of knowledge can liberate individuals from the cave and lead them to the true reality. In addition, Plato critiques the book of Dionysius II, highlighting the lack of philosophical comprehension due to inadequate preparation and study. What went wrong? Why did Plato fail? Plato's effort in Syracuse ended in failure, and there are several factors that contributed to this outcome. 1. Plato's lack of practical political experience hindered his ability to navigate Syracuse's political landscape effectively. 2. The ruling elite in Syracuse resisted Plato's forced reforms and idealistic vision of government. 3. Dionysius II proved to be an unreliable ally, disregarding Plato's advice. 4. Political instability and external threats in Syracuse diverted attention and resources from Plato's reform agenda. 5. Plato refrained from further engagement due to the excessive disregard for governance, boundaries, and threats to his life. 6. Plato's motivation was to apply his philosophical ideas in practical governance, while the complex realities of Syracuse posed challenges to their implementation. 7. Plato ended up in a house arrest due to the involvement in the power struggle between Dionysius II and Dion. 8. Plato faced total resistance and lack of public support in Syracuse due to the perceived disconnect between his ideals and the immediate concern of the citizens. 9. Plato lacked the necessary resources and institutional support to implement comprehensive educational programs and public engagement initiatives. 10. Plato's influence in Syracuse was limited, requiring strategic alliance, effective communication, and building trust over time to convince influential figures and the broader population. 11. Plato's refusal to support Dion's revolution in Syracuse, which can be attributed to several factors. A. Plato was no longer at an age where he could actively participate in initiating a war and didn't support Dion's violent approach. B. Dion's action conflicted with Plato's vision of a just and virtuous ruler, as Dion exhibited authoritarian tendency and chose untrusted allies. C. Plato recognized the practical challenges and political realities in Syracuse, being cautious about supporting a revolution that could lead to more chaos and instability. D. That philosophical differences between Plato's and Dion's approach to reform, including gradualism versus revolution and the use of violence. E. Plato emphasized peaceful and rational means of achieving change through education, persuasion, and the cultivation of virtue, while Dion favored more radical and violent measures. What Plato could have done differently to save Syracuse? Plato had several alternative approaches he could have taken in his efforts to bring positive change to Syracuse. In his first visit, Plato should have prioritized cultivating virtue in Dionysius II, the heir of the throne, back then imposing his ideas on Dionysius I. 2. Focus on establishing a strong philosophical and moral foundation in Syracuse before pursuing a significant political change. 3, build alliances and gain support from influential individuals who share Plato's vision of just governance. 4, establish an educational system that emphasizes moral virtue, critical thinking, and philosophical wisdom. 5, implement incremental reforms and demonstrate their effectiveness to gain acceptance and trust. He could have suggested the appointment of an authority in Syracuse to oversee the daily lives of the Syracusans, ensuring that they had a temperate lifestyle. And this is exactly what he proposed in his 11th letter. 6, emphasize cooperation and unity among ruling elite to bridge gaps and encourage cooperative decision-making. And this is what he also proposed in his 8th letter. He proposed an unification of all conflicting factions in Syracuse under a single monarchy governed by 3 kings, with each king representing one of the warring groups. 7, adapting philosophical ideas to the local context by offering practical examples. An instance of this can be found in Plato's 8th letter, where he mentioned how the ancestors of the Sicilians have saved the city by granting full power to 2 generals. The first one was Dionysius, and the second one was Hipparchus. B, engaging in collaborative dialogues. And it's worth noting that this was a thought that Cyprius adopted when he was in Syracuse to assess Dion's revolution. C, emphasizing pragmatic application of his ideas in a step-by-step manner. 8, supporting promising individuals like Dion and train them as philosopher kings. 9, support Dion's revolution to achieve the reforms Plato envisions. And it's worth mentioning that Plato himself, in his 7th letter, explicitly states that if Dion gained control over the kingdom, he would have achieved the reforms that both aimed for. In conclusion, it's important to note that the political and social climate in Syracuse was complex, and Plato's influence was limited. This alternative approaches offer potential strategies, but the outcome would have depended on various factors and circumstances. Thank you.
شكرا. شكرا دكتورة شيماء.
العفو يا فندم، شكرا لحضرتك يا دكتور.
العفو يا فندم. كلمتنا الدكتورة شيماء عن بلاتو's journey to Syracuse and political reforms that he hoped to achieve it, how he tried to raise these numerous philosophical questions concerning this issue. وكمان كلمتنا عن انه افلاطون ما راحش مره واحده صقليه، راح مرتين، وانه فشل في المرتين في انه يفرض الحاجه بتاعته، وبتصير تساؤل في الاخر حول what was the impact of his journey on Plato's philosophy، يعني اثر الفشل بتاع الرحله بتاعته على الفلسفه بتاعته كمان بعد كده. مرة تانية بنشكر دكتورة شيماء، لكن تعليقي البسيط والجميل على كلمتك يا دكتورة شيماء انه a lot of philosophy a little history. يعني الحقيقة ان المحاضرة كانت فلسفة عميقة جدا، يعني أتمنى أنه الباحثين أو الدارسين في التاريخ يعني يحاولوا الاقتراب منها، وإن كانت مسألة فيها صعوبة كبيرة. بنشكر الدكتورة شيماء مرة أخيرة، وبأشكر كل الباحثين على المنصة اللي تعبوا معانا النهاردة جدا. وبنبدأ الآن، بنفتح باب المناقشة للدكتور حسام والدكتور أحمد والدكتور علمي. معانا دكتور علمي لسه؟